Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. How you doing today? It's Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, and I'm with my good friend Matt, the lumberjack landlord. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Mike. Thanks for being here.
Oh man, no problem. So one of the things I want to do today is I want to play the what if game with you.
Yeah.
Right. And in this case, what we're going to do, and you can feel free to ask questions so we both have the same box. But what I'm envisioning is you talk about your market. I will talk about my market of Fresno. So realize, folks, we are talking about markets we know well.
Yes.
And what I'm going to say here is we are going to have a 40% crash in residential real estate. So it's the stuff we buy, stuff we watch every day. And I'm going to say it starts now, and we are at the bottom at the end of, actually, let's say it's a year. So it's July of 2022. So 40% drop, peak to trough, starts now, get to the bottom in a year. If you have any questions, let's go. But I want to know what you would do different in your business if that happened.
So the crash is starting now. And
Right.
I think and so the whole reason that we're having this conversation is we're looking at it and we're saying, hey, we think this might be here if they're, let's say all the YouTubers are right. And so it's gonna be a 40% crash and starts now, and it's gonna end in about a year.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
So I would, so we talk about affordability, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so my affordability right now in my market is 1.
Yeah, that's not good.
Right.
It's kind of unaffordable. That's not
good.
Good.
So I know, right? So I'm going to even be able to use this as a real life example. I know that my market is largely unaffordable.
Mm-hmm.
I know that.
Yep.
1% of people make more than the median income that can cover the cost of a median house.
Right.
1%.
Yeah.
So I know that 1 out of 100 is not the kind of group that I want to be selling to.
No, not at all. Yeah. Really what you're doing in your market, it's so clear, is you're importing wealth from other states right now.
100%. 100%. In fact, the last 3 properties, if that gives you any indication what I would do if I thought the 40% crash was coming, I'd be selling. And I did. And I've sold basically all of my single families.
Okay.
I literally have 1 left, but it's because it has a little bit of hair on it, meaning just like zoning and things like that. But I've sold all of my other single family houses, all of them. Over the last 6 months, I sold every single one.
All right. So I guess let me ask this follow-up. So do you see a crash or an adjustment or whatever you want to call it, like in real life, not this what if scenario?
Yep, I do.
Okay.
I do.
Right.
I like we've talked about for, I don't know, 3 months.
Okay.
I see a slowdown coming.
Yeah, no question, a slowdown.
Yeah, it doesn't go, I'm not looking for a 40% drop, but even a 10% or 20% drop, like why wouldn't I want to sell towards the peak?
No, of course. Yeah.
In the last 12 months in my market, stuff has gone up 24%.
Yeah.
In 1 year.
Yeah,
the last time we went up 24% in 1 year, here's the amazing thing, was in 1999.
Ooh, 99.
Yeah. 99. Yep. Before the dot-com bubble.
Wow.
That's what, because a lot of people were moving here because they thought that communications and everything else was going to go away. And New Hampshire's really self-reliant state. We have a lot of houses that are on, wells and septic systems, and where you don't need infrastructure.
You imported growth. Yep. Interesting.
Yep. And so we still saw growth, but we didn't see the amazing growth that you guys saw in like California, where you had a house that was 100, then 280, then
75. Yeah.
Yeah. That didn't happen here. It just didn't. And so we were far more kind of slow and steady wins a race. But if I know, or if I really believe with conviction, right? Don't do what I say, do what I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I believe with conviction that a correction's coming, which I believe it's going to be in that, sometime next year, I think there's going to be a little bit more up, but I'm not greedy and I'm not going to time the market because the market can make me an idiot anytime it wants to.
Yeah.
So I looked at it and I said, it makes sense now to liquidate some of these assets. But the crazy thing is, Mike, is I didn't take the money and run. I reinvested it in a different asset class.
Yeah, that's the key, right? Did you officially do a 1031 or did you?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, 1031. Yeah.
I did 3 of them.
Yeah. So let me talk about my market, right? So unlike your market, which is a 1, my market's roughly a 42, maybe a 40 now. So it's healthy, right? I don't get nervous till 20, but let's still say, right, it's going to crash. So again, the beauty is I've been through the cycle before, right? So the first thing I did when I saw the peak, I didn't call the top. I had great timing in hindsight, but I didn't know. So yeah, if I saw a peak coming, I would sell. I don't see it now, but we're just playing a game here. So I would do the same thing. I would sell. I would probably, given that where I'm at in life, I would probably take 70% of the equity and 1031 into other assets. Cause that's the beauty of real estate, folks, is residential. When it gets hot, commercial or other assets are generally not as hot. It's just an odd thing, because when residential or houses get hot, you really have owner occupants pushing it up because they can pay more. And that just means investment properties are generally cheaper. So I would do that. I would probably pocket 30%, probably have a couple assets that I have carry forward losses on that I would structure in a way to get out with little tax impact. So I would sell 1031, same thing. The other thing to realize is, because having lived through the crash, I never knew where the bottom was. I don't know about you, but I bought all the way down, right? The thing that people don't realize, people talk about a crash like it happened in a day or a week or a month. The crash, at least in my market, was 5 years in the making.
Yeah.
Right. From the peak of where we were in 06, it really didn't bottom until late 10, early 11.
Yes.
People talking today on YouTube don't realize that the crash was like 20 quarters.
Yeah.
y'all don't realize that.
It was 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, you're just going to sit on the sideline and magically pick up a deal at the bottom. It just doesn't happen that way. So again, what I'd be doing is I would be looking at my market, and I would be looking every day, and I would be tightening my criteria. The big thing that changed in my world from the peak to the bottom was I changed what I would accept as a good or great deal.
Sure.
My good or great deal, as we were going down the last 18 months, if it wasn't 15%, I wasn't buying. Right. Because I needed risk. I needed to protect Jesus Christ, how low can these things go? Right. I remember buying a house for 28 grand going, can it go any lower? But yeah, it was crazy. So I would be doing the work. I'd be changing my buy box. I'd still be buying. And the other thing I would look at my portfolio and go, thank God all my debt's 30 years. Because when you have residential debt at 30 years, you don't care what the value of the house is. They can't take it back. If you have commercial, they can, not residential.
Yep. Yeah. We rebalanced. And now, so you have zero commercial debt?
No, I have some, but it's the shortest term I have is 7. I spent the last year or so pushing out all my terms as long as I could, because I don't want that interest rate risk.
Yeah. My shortest is 5, but I've done the work to take anything that I could go 30-year on, worked with banks, called different banks and said, I want to do a portfolio where you hold the paper because you can't sell it to Fannie Freddie because I've got more than 10.
Yeah, I don't qualify for that.
Don't qualify. So let me save you from the sales pitch.
Yeah, exactly.
And had the conversation and got with a bank, and they're basically, I mean, their rate is 4.25. Yeah. But I'm fine with 30-year debt at 4.25.
Yeah. You have any idea what I pay to get some 30-year debt at 4.25? That's crazy. I have debt at 5. Like it's at 5.
Yeah. But that's the thing though, is that, but it's all about the cash flow and the numbers working, and here's the thing too, is that my rents on my single families, they didn't make much money anyway, but now at the new numbers, they are all alligators almost across the board. They're alligators. Yeah. That's because in our state, it's taxes. In our state, it's property taxes. So a $400,000 house, right? Because that's basically, I think that's the median sales price of a house right now in New Hampshire is $400K. Wow. So yeah, it's ridiculous. It's kind of like what Anna Kelly was saying about some of the areas literally like on the ocean and stuff. We have 17 miles of coastline. Oh, okay. And so that stuff has gone absolutely hyperbolic, crazy nutso, none of the numbers work. I talked to the bank about buying one and they're like, we want 50% down. Yeah. Like, ha, ha, ha. Yeah. Yeah. It's just, the numbers are nuts, but you look at a regular single family, $400,000. In a lot of cases, that might have a tax bill of 10 grand or 12 grand. So it's $1,000 a month in taxes. It's $100 a month in water and sewer. It's $100 a month of insurance. You're at 1,200 and you haven't paid a dime towards your PITI, your private, your principal interest, taxes and insurance. Wow. So just your PI. So your principal and interest, and then on a $400,000 loan, you might be getting it, again, if you're an investor, like you said, you're 5%, let's say 5. Yeah. So all of a sudden you're looking at like a $1,700 a month mortgage payment right around there, plus the $1,200 that you're going to see. Now you're at $2,800. And I've got bad news. That house is only worth about $2,300 on the rental market, maybe $2,500 on the rental market. Alligator. Yeah. Alligator.
Know what that is? Read the book. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot, and that makes it a loss every month. And that's why for me, it wasn't just evaluating. I think the mistake that some people make is evaluating based on where they are today and what their nut is and expenses are today on their building.
Mhm.
Look at if somebody else is going to buy it and use it as the same type of asset. Look and see what their return is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, that's the buy box essentially. And, and if you're seeing alligators there, yeah, I mean, that's what was a pretty easy decision for me to say, this is not going to work out long term.
Yeah. No, you don't never buy an alligator. You never want. Yeah, it's just not a good thing. Read the book. So I'm curious, right? So I'd still be buying, right? Because again, while we're talking about a what if of 40%, I won't know that in the moment.
Yep.
Would you still be buying? Like when do you, like, for example, you sold residential. How far would prices have to go down? Right. We'll use 400 as the example before you start at least sniffing in residential again.
I'm still, so on the single families,
Mhm.
until the numbers work, quite frankly, like, and the numbers, for me, it's way down. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably like on single families. I think the market is probably going to need to adjust
25%.
25, yeah,
Yeah.
25, 30%, I think
Okay.
is what that single family is gonna have to go down.
Okay.
On the 2, 3s, and 4s, I'm still buying.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. See,
I'm
that's
still buying right now.
yeah. When people talk real estate, again, we're talking our hypo areas now, not nationally.
Nope.
At least in my market, there really are three. Actually, I'll talk about 4 real estate markets. There's the single family home market,
Mhm.
which is dominated by owner occs. It's why it can get unaffordable for investors to buy there. 2, there's the 2 through 4s, right, which are residential, really investor dominated, right? Some house hacking, but really investor dominated. Then there's the kind of 5s to 20s, which is where I try to play, right? So commercial, but below where the big boys would get interested. And then there's the bigger stuff. And all of those markets, folks, they operate different. They have different peaks, different troughs. They have different interest levels. Sometimes they're hot, sometimes they're cold. And one of the beauties I do about looking at my market again every day is I can see what's getting hot and hotter and what's getting cold. And that's why I could move equity from a hot house to a warm or cool, small multifamily, like I did in the book, went from 8 to 80. So yeah, 40% drop would not concern me. Certainly not calling for it, at least in my market with what we see now. But the key with this conversation is I would change my buying criteria. I would look at my portfolio to see if anything could become an alligator. Oh, the other thing to realize is the last time we had a housing crash, rents went up. People don't realize that rents went up, right? People were losing homes and they're like, I want a house. I was in a house. I don't want to go back to an apartment, right? That's what they say. So rents went up. That's another thing I saw. How about you?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's why I'm the dominator of the duplexes. Like I love duplexes because it's like a lot of people are willing to reconcile in their mind. All right, it's not an apartment building.
Yeah.
I'm literally living in half a house. It's really still like a house.
Yeah.
Especially with the layout of a lot of them here on the East Coast. And so it still gives them the feel of, basically living in a conjoined house, which you're going to do if you've ever lived in a city or ever lived in condos or any of those other things. And so for me, yeah, I love the duplex. And a lot of people at that time were willing to say, hey, listen, I've got the income. What I don't have is, I'm going to walk away from the house or I'm losing the house.
Yeah.
But I haven't been paying on it for 9 months anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I got the deposit.
Yeah, exactly. So I got deposit, I got first month's rent. But yeah, I mean, that's what we honestly would look at. We would honestly look at, that's what we've done. We've really, honed and looked at 2s, 3s, and 4s. We're actually even staying away from a lot of the 5s to 20s.
Yeah.
Because that market is all the guys like me that want their name on a building and want a bigger building because it's easier to manage.
Yeah.
So now they're overpaying. They're overpaying for that stuff.
And again, that goes in cycles. Right now it's hot, right? We talked about a 6-unit building. I think you were into. It's like the guy just wanted it, right? You can't compete. If somebody wants to overpay, let him.
Let him.
Let him overpay. Yeah. So again, I guess what hopefully people are hearing for this, if we believe the crash is coming, we would simply adjust our buy box. We wouldn't know where the bottom was. And the beauty is we look every day. What I want people to hear here in this discussion is we would see it coming. We would, because again, right? How do crashes happen? They don't just happen with a snap of the finger. Listings go up, days on market expands, price drops come. So we would see it weeks, if not months before anybody else. And again, I would be buying deals at a discount before CNBC had one article. Right?
Of course.
I'd be buying 90 days ahead of them. It'd be crazy.
Yeah. Diana Olick would be reporting in Q1 of next year.
Next year, there's a price drop. What are you like, where have you been?
Exactly.
It's crazy. Well, do me a favor. How can people follow you, get part of your world?
Lumberjacklandlord.com and Lumberjack Landlord on YouTube, and Mike's amazing one rental at a time course that is just, I mean, honestly, Mike, people got to be investing in that now. You know, look at anything that you can spend $300 on, and what does it really get you? Like, there is so much information in there. It's actually a little bit obnoxious.
It is obnoxious. All the bonus stuff we're adding is obnoxious, man. It's like, when does this become stupid?
Like, how many hours are you at?
Oh, I don't know. I should add that up. But I mean, just think about what we're covering, right? House hacking, self-management, private money, mortgage 101, flipping, and more people are stepping up to add more and more content.
It is so, I mean, honestly, it is so much. And so, yeah, so you can find me there too in the house hacking stuff. Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Mike.